name's Jo, and I'm one of the curators at the Jewish Museum. So who are the Sephardi community? Strictly speaking, Sephardi Jews are those whose ancestors lived in Spain and Portugal before Jews were expelled from there in the 15th century. The word Sephardi comes from Sfarad in Hebrew, which means Spain. As with all identities, it's not always easy to define who Sephardi Jews are, because the word Sephardi can be used more widely to include those known as Mizrahi Jews, who are descended from the ancient Jewish communities of the Middle East. Mizrahi comes from the Hebrew word Mizrach, meaning east. Whilst the term Sephardi literally refers to the early communities in Spain and Portugal, Sephardi Jews come from many countries across the Mediterranean, North Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. This is because the original Spanish and Portuguese Sephardi Jews spread from Spain and Portugal across different regions in the world. They joined existing Jewish communities in other parts of the world, and in some cases formed new ones. This exhibition looks at the stories of Sephardi Jews who settled in Britain from the Middle East and North Africa in particular. It doesn't look at Sephardi Jews in other parts of the world. The Jewish communities of North Africa and the Middle East included some of the most important in the Jewish world, such as Aleppo in Syria, Cairo and Alexandria in Egypt, and Baghdad in Iraq. These communities were massively transformed in the second half of the 20th century. Relationships between Jews and Arabs were badly affected by the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 and the Israeli-Arab conflict that resulted. In addition, the broader politics of the time made life difficult, and many Jews left, either out of choice or after being forced to leave. Every country's situation was different, but in the end, very few Jews remained in these parts of the world. Today, the largest communities in the Islamic world are in Iran, Morocco, and Tunisia. Sephardi Jews tend to have distinct religious traditions and customs that are different from Ashkenazi Jews. That's those who come from Western and Eastern Europe. Sephardi Jews have different prayers, different songs, and in particular, very different food traditions. As you might expect, Sephardi food is influenced by regional cuisines, like everyone's food is. Wherever Jews travelled, they adapted and adopted recipes and dishes, embracing local foods and putting their own twist on them. It's not surprising that there is no one Sephardi culture. Syrian Jewish food is unsurprisingly very different to Tunisian Jewish food. The songs that Jews in Iraq sang were different to the songs that Jews in Yemen sang. And Jews in Arab-speaking countries spoke Arabic, in some cases Jewish dialects of Arabic. Jews in Iran spoke Farsi, and today still do. Culture is multi-layered and complex. So we're looking right now at a cup and saucer that come from Aleppo in Syria. This set was made around 1920. It was donated to the Jewish Museum by the Shalom family, who moved from Syria to Manchester. The set would have been used for the Havdalah ceremony, which uses wine, spices, and fire to mark the end of the Sabbath. If you look closely at the cup, you'll see that there's a verse on it, which is actually Psalm 67 from the Bible. And it's written in the shape of a menorah, which is the seven-branched candelabra, which is an ancient symbol of Judaism. This psalm, shaped in this way, is often found on Jewish religious objects in the Islamic world, and some people considered it to have almost magical qualities, as if it could protect them against danger. The cup also has illustrations of famous places and sites in the Holy Land of Israel, such as the tomb of Rachel. If you look closely at the plate, it has very, very different symbols on it. The pictures show the 12 tribes of Israel, and in the middle there's a scene with baby Moses in the basket on the River Nile in Egypt from the Exodus story in the Old Testament. These are actually based on pictures that can be found on wall hangings from Europe around that time. This shows that people were travelling between Europe and the Middle East and sharing art and souvenirs with each other. The stories of Sephardi Jews are very important to remember for many reasons. Many people know about the history of Jews from Christian Europe, but not enough, perhaps, is known about the very long history of Jews living in the Arab and Muslim world. These stories show that Jews come from all around the world, that they contributed to many different civilizations and societies, and were enriched by cultures from all around the world.